again new because it's a new computer. Somehow it looks different here than the laptop. So, if anybody's here, then please give me a quick heads up, a quick hi, so that I know that you are there. Otherwise, I'm just gonna wait a couple more minutes. Maybe until the song's gone. And then I'm gonna start diving in. Hello, hello. If you're tuning in, just give me a quick hi. Let me know that you're here. And just gonna let that song finish before we start. Also, here it goes. Seeing if somebody else wants to tune in and just shake some nervousness off, because I hate those lives. I really do. They make me nervous as fuck. That's what it is. You gotta put yourself on the spot, make yourself a little bit uncomfortable on a regular basis. Here we go. Okay. So please give me a hands up or something if you're here, so that I know who is watching, so I know who I'm talking to. Because if there is something more awkward than putting yourself on camera on the socials, it's putting yourself live on a camera in front of a crowd that you have no fucking idea who it is. So, hey Andrew, thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you saw my comment on your post just earlier. I might read a little bit of your book. Who knows? Maybe not, because then I realized that that's actually another big fear of mine. I hated reading in school. I hated it. And so yeah, actually what I just want to start with today. So no, first of all, welcome to this freedom of choice chat. I want to call it a chat because I want you to interact with me a little bit, give me some feedback on how you feel about choice and how much choice you feel that you have in your life. And then also I linked it to the question that has been coming up in the group lately a couple of times, how to deal with assholes or dicks or bitches or whatever you want to call them, how to deal with difficult people, to put it into normal terms. Hi Nicole, don't worry, I'm gonna leave it up as well, you can watch it later as well, but I'm happy that you're here. So, freedom of choice, how to deal with difficult people. This is going to be the topic of tonight, and I will just freelance this one because I don't really know where to start or where to go. I hope that it's going to be like about 30 minutes, 45 minutes maybe, not longer, but there's always a chance that it gets longer depending on the discussions that we're going to have and how much I'm going to read of Andrew's book as well. Why reading? Because I was trying to find a way to calm down before. I was getting like super nervous to come live. I was feeling blocked again, even though I had a really good preparing session this morning. I wrote out like a really nice script and nice words, and I thought like I have really everything together. And then I got so nervous and started blocking again. And Andrew just asked a question the other day or today, I don't even know. What was the question exactly? What was the last biggest or yeah, biggest fear that you overcame? Something like that. Andrew, help me if you want to correct that. But I said that one of the biggest fears that I've had was public speaking, and I overcame that. And now here I am realizing that's actually not the case. It's actually not the case. So, yeah, putting myself out there and getting uncomfortable again in other ways and get more confident and stronger in that way. And then I was reading the book, to put it back to the point. I was starting to read his book to calm myself down, and I came to one of his stories, and I thought that's really actually super perfect, um, a perfect entry maybe to what I'm trying to bring across tonight, that concept of freedom of choice. Andrew just writes, what did you think you could never do, but you proved yourself wrong? Exactly. So feel free to type into the comments as well if you have something like this as well. Um, but yeah, so reading, reading his book, coming to this story, realizing that this is exactly what I'm trying to bring across. And then I was like, oh yeah, I don't really know. Well, I know what I want to talk to you about, but I don't really know how to put it. So how about I just hide behind a beautiful book, by the way. Sorry, Andrew, that he's not paying me, right? So I do that completely on my own terms because I love the book so much already, and I'm just on page 19. I thought, let's just hide behind his words and get comfortable this way. And then just before, when I started the live, I realized like, oh fuck, I hate reading out loud in front of people. So here we are, double uncomfortable, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I hope that I'm not gonna take too long. I hope that this works. I hope that you get the story and a little bit where I want to go. And I also hope that you have a little bit of time and can bear with me. And yeah, otherwise just shouldn't be. So, oh my goodness, you're gonna have a good laugh over there. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, just wait until I start reading, okay? So, the story is, and it's not the shortest one, 5 pages, and they're easy pages, but I'm a slow reader. So the story goes, or the story is called Plato's Blockbuster. When you were born, you were transported directly from the womb to seat in to sit from the womb to seat in a movie theater. It's where you live, where you're supposed to grow old and die. Just go with it, okay? A film endlessly plays on the screen. It is a movie full of love and hate, fear and courage, lifelong grudges and soul-healing forgiveness. There are flashy images accentuated by catchy music. The drama is intense. The action is like Michael Bay meets the Wachowski siblings on the 4th of July. And the story twists and corkscrews unpredictably. And the movie never ends, at least not while you are alive. You don't know it's a movie. You have no concept of what a movie theater is. This is just life. You were born here. Staring into the moving pictures is the only reality you know. It's all there is. Every seat in the theater is full of people just like you, birthed into chairs, hopefully comfortable ones. None of the people look at each other or look anywhere but towards the screen. The film is the only reason to be here, the only reason to be anything. After decades of this, you feel unsettled. Something is off. You feel empty. You feel like you're missing something. And how have I been here for so long without having to get up and pee? Some critical thinkers may be wondering that. To which I reply, don't think. Thinking is dangerous. In a bizarre, bewildering moment, your neck turns just inches to the left. The first time you've ever moved a muscle. The sensation is intoxicating, dizzying. Suddenly, your eyes perceive the screen from a slightly new angle. The possibility or even the concept of this had never occurred to you before. Not only does your focus shift away from the screen's center, you also see the right sides of the faces of people sitting in the rows ahead of you. Before, you'd only seen backs of heads in distinct silhouettes. Now you can make out details illuminated by the film's eerie blue light. You see earrings, glasses, beards, varying skin tones. What was once indistinct and uninteresting is now fascinating and unique. This is an absolute revelation. Your entire perception of your world changes, and you wonder, what else am I missing? What else is there to see? Determination builds. After much deliberation and apprehensiveness, you turn your head some more. First, all the way to the left, then to the right, up and down. You see walls, ceiling, motionless people all around you, their eyes trained strictly and lifelessly to the screen. The movie doesn't seem interesting anymore. Your attention has shifted to comprehending the space outside the movie. You cannot tolerate sitting here anymore. It's time to learn to use your legs. Aren't my muscles atrophied beyond repair by now, you say? How have I survived this long without eating? Shh, don't even think, I reply. I said, do not think. You ignore me and stand. You glorious rebel. You wander about the auditorium, viewing the audience of zombies. None of them make a peep, lest you stand between their eyes and the screen. Then they protest with startling, gnarling, incoherent snarls. Your most fascinating discovery yet arrives when you notice that the images on the screen seem to be projected from a light that's source is a small window at the upper back wall of the room. What does it mean? Is the light God? You find your way through a set of double doors at the room's rear. As you cross the threshold, your mind is shattered from the overstimulation of bright lights and surreal colors. Scents and sounds you've not imagined vividly permeate your senses. How could this be? What is real? After some exploring, you discover a chamber back of the window you saw from inside the auditorium, the source of the light. You peer back to the depths of the theater below and see the movie still playing out on the screen. It seems much less engrossing from here, small, artificial, meaningless. Without warning, the screen goes dark, and you instantly hear voices from the auditorium below, snarling and growling grotesquely. You observe your surroundings and realize that you're standing directly in front of the light that projects the movie, blocking it from reaching the screen. You quickly step aside, allowing the projection to sedate the grumbling and groaning from the seats below. Now you investigate the source of the light itself. Decidedly, it's not God. It's just a machine, a box. We've all been had, tricked. Those people down there, they have no idea. I need to tell them. And so you return to the theater. You tell the patrons what you've uncovered. They rip into you with their empty, stupefied eyes. They can't comprehend what you've seen. They know only the world on the screen. Any other concept beyond what they know is foreign and unbearably uncomfortable. They hate you for interrupting their movie. One of them aggressively lashes out at you, tries to force you to the floor. Another bites and claws at you like a beast, drawing blood from your arm. Several figures stand together and walk towards you. Lies, they chant, heresy. Not wanting to see what happens next, you sprint towards a door labeled exit. You thrust into it, opening it, spilling yourself out into a bright white hallway. Another door awaits at the hall's end. You stop a moment to catch your breath and realize that no one is following you. You peek back into the auditorium. No one is even standing anymore. Everyone's quiet, just watching their stupid movie. You reflect on how you'd gotten up and explored by your own choice, due to your own curiosity and drive. Nobody else could have made that choice except of you. And now you cannot make that choice for anyone else. You cannot make them see the truth or to understand that which their minds have formed no prior framework to comprehend. So you pivot back towards the door at the end of the hall. What could be on the other side, you wonder. Each step you take brings you closer and closer as the anticipation builds. With a push, the door opens. Utterly blinded by sunlight, you fall into a heap on the ground and die. Well, who you were before now dies. Anyway, your eyes slowly adjust, your vision returns. You see the sky for the first time. Clouds, trees, cars. There is grass and pavements, rocks, mosquitoes and birds. All of this beautiful beyond anything previously fathomable. Once again, you wish you could tell the others, show them, but they'd kill you or worse. You're alone in the light, lonely in reality, isolated by shedding away the delusion, the deception. The heart hangs heavy in desolation, but your soul soars at the taste of fresh air. Is there anybody out there? You take your first awesome, defiant steps into the real world. I had goosebumps when I was reading that, and I think I've never connected with words in a book as much since Conversation with God. So, thank you, Andrew, for this. I hope that that was more or less understandable and listenable as well. So, what did you hear from this story? I'm gonna scroll down. What did you hear? Like, was there something that stood out to you or something that resonated with you from the book? Please let me know if that is so. Well, yeah, Andrew, it's your words, right? Please feel free to write it in the comments, even if you watch this in the replay. And then, yeah, I'm just gonna open this as well. Let's just start getting into this concept of choice. Like, what have you come to understand in your own life so far that choice is? Like, is there moments in your life where you feel that you don't have a choice, and how do you deal with that? And where do you find that choice really gives you a sense of power from within? So let me just the way you said heresy is my favorite thing ever. Well, maybe you can teach me how you say that. I have no idea how you call that. I know it's like a heretic, right? Is like the word heresy. I have no idea, but I'm gonna learn that. No worries. Um, so for me, I think the moment where I started understanding the power and the freedom of choice was after I separated from my husband, in a very unvolatile, dramatic way, so to speak. Um, where he really made my heart really, really difficult, or like my world in my head really difficult. And there was a lot of times where I just like I couldn't. There's just so much darkness and so much heaviness and anger and hate and lies and stories that I felt like it's just all dark, right? But I started picturing myself on top of a ridge, on top of a mountain ridge, not a mountain top. So there's like it's really like a mountain ridge, and I'd picture myself up there, and I would see that on the one side there was sunlight and fluffy clouds and lushy green hills and everything and flowers on the fields, and then it would like get dark and it would get into a super super dark stormy um, yeah, ugly side, so to speak. And I was right there in the middle, and I could feel that the noise of the storm was like really loud and really drawing my attention there and making me sad because I didn't really want to be in this energy. So I started playing with this game, or with this visualization, that I'm standing here in the middle and I have the choice. I have 100% of the choice whether I want to look in that direction where the storm is and where the darkness is, or if I choose to look towards the light and towards the sun and the things that really make me feel comfortable and faithful again as well. And obviously at first I would start a lot to just smack over to the bright side, to the beautiful side, and just like practice that, get away from the heaviness. And and it was really powerful because it really really works. It really really works, and it takes you out of this. It's almost like it takes you out of the past, and into the future. Like from this point on, you can see what's ahead of you, and you can know that there's also this side, right? But then once I started practicing this more and more, I started also diving to shadow work, meaning that we cannot just we cannot just block out that which we don't want to see, or that feels hurtful or painful or whatever. Because if we keep blocking that out, it will, like it wants to be seen as well. That's why it's there. It has a right to be there, and it has a right to be seen. So it will just come harder and harder at you, because there's just more and more coming. And if you're not allowing it, it's just like at some point you can just not hold it longer, and you will get weaker, and at some point you will have to let it come. And that's when the shitstorm hits you, and where your spiritual smackdown happens, or whatever you want to call that, when you hit rock bottom. So I did not want to go all the way down there again. So I started choosing to also look to the dark side. But now it was an active choice of mine. It was a choice that I took because I wanted to learn from it. And oh boy, was there a lot to learn. Like, there is so much, well, there's so much good stuff that you can learn from those bad situations, and from those assholes and those dicks and those bitches and those people that just trying to destroy you. So much to learn there. So much about them, but especially about yourself if you're willing to do that, right? So if you are willing to do the work and not just the light, bright, beautiful, like, oh, I'm grateful for my computer, I'm grateful for my cat, I'm grateful for my glasses so that I can see more, grateful for my phone, grateful for my family, the dee, the da, the da. No. Well, you can be grateful for all of that too, but the power of gratitude, in my opinion, lies in the dark side. Like, be thankful for all the lessons that life brings you to make you stronger. That goes, I think, a little bit into another topic here as well. But power of choice, freedom of choice. You have a choice. Please let me know if you agree, and please let me know if there is a situation in your life where you feel you don't have a choice, and we'll try to look at that. And I'll just look at the comments. Andrew, I love hearing you read that. A soul-stirring honor. Aww. The way you said Rezi, blah, that's what you said already. Sometimes it's hard for me to feel like I have a choice when faced with the limitations of my habits. Sometimes it's hard for me to feel like I have a choice when faced with the limitations of my habits. What do you mean exactly by that, Andrew? And Chris, what do you mean by it, but is much easier so? I love your use of visualization to process the traumatic experience. Yes, yeah, like the visualization is such a game changer, honestly. Like for me, Chris, I think you can speak for yourself as well, how this has maybe changed your work because you did some personal growth and inner work already before we worked together, and now we've added the element of visualizing. We never did this specific exercise, but you have the tool of visualization now, and now you can start getting creative with it. Welcome to the dark side. Do you mean it's easier to go to the dark side, or I don't really understand. You can also write it in German if you want, if that's easier for you. Oh, I'm sweating. Sweating and cold at the same time. Okay, anyway. Andrew, do you work with visualizations at all? Like, do you meditate with, or, well, I guess meditation is not necessarily visualization, right? But for me, for example, I got into meditation through the practice of visualization. Like, for me, it's so freaking hard to just sit and focus on the breath and what's present right now. I can do that for maybe 5 minutes and then I'm out of there. So working with visualizations not only had me present and like in the moment there, but it gave me a tool to actively start co-creating the way that I receive life, I guess, or how I meet life. Chris, when we just care about the surface. Chris, can you please form full sentences? I don't get what you mean. Andrew, well, I have had to add a lot of structure to my schedule and made a lot of changes that are good, but sometimes I fall back into old patterns. Yeah. So visualizations are a really, really powerful tool for life. We can we can change so much in the way that we behave in the world as well. And we can practice, like it's just like you write in the book. In some ways we can create our own little movie in our head. So not only God has this ability, we do too. So we can create our own little world in our head, and we can start practicing life the way that we desire to live it, the way that we align with life, the way that we believe life is supposed to feel. So let's say, to bring it to the topic of how to deal with difficult people, one thing that we can do with visualization, sorry, is to go into this deep relaxed state and then start visualizing a situation with that person, and start visualizing a situation with that person that keeps occurring, because usually there's like patterns in there, and the interaction kind of like always goes in a similar direction and always has a similar ending, and it's usually not the best outcome. So we can go into our own little world, create our perfect image of this situation, and rewrite the story, rewrite the way that we desire to react in the moment. So we're preparing ourselves to be ready for the situation, so we're not thrown over by the situation when it occurs, even though we already know. But if you don't train to stand your ground in the moment when it comes, it's going to be difficult. So we practice that in the visualization, how to stand your ground if it gets a little bit tricky. And then there's many different options. There's no one solution to this problem, right? There's no one right answer to how to deal with difficult people, because every difficult person is difficult in another way, and everybody on the receiving side is again a complete other story as well. So there is no two relationships and interactions exactly the same. So that's why it's so important to know there's no golden formula other than finding the tools and settling yourself and centering yourself and stand your ground and work your way towards responding to life and situations rather than reacting from an unconscious place, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Does that sound in any way helpful? Is there anything new in that, or was that all stuff that you already know anyway, and you already practice anyway? And actually, I also wanted to read a couple answers. Well, one answer that really struck me from the from the from the Facebook thread yesterday, from my post that I did on my private page about how to deal with assholes, other than all the hilarious answers that I received, of which I really would like to share some as well eventually. One of my Acro Yoga friends mentioned nonviolent communication, and that her practice or her training with nonviolent communication really was the game changer for her. And ever since she started doing this work by Marshall Rosenberg, highly, highly recommended, she doesn't see assholes and monsters anymore. And when she said that, it struck me, because for me it's the same. I don't, like, if people are angry and mad and sour and like this, I just feel, I don't know, I feel sad for them for sure. I feel the urge to get into my rescuer role and try to help them, and I am trying to work on that and do that less and less, and just be present with what is, and radically accept just that they're on their journey and that's just where they're at in the moment. All I can do is hold my ground, hold the space, so that they can safely unload whatever they need to get rid of. Um, and I find that is really, really powerful. If you can center yourself so much within your heart and your being, that you do not take anything that somebody else says to you or does to you personally, because it usually has nothing to do with you. The trigger that this person pulls within you, though, that's your issue. That's what you should be looking at. And that's why it's really, really important to, maybe if you're not there to fully hold your ground because there was a strong trigger being pulled within you, just step back, get out of the interaction. Don't give into the fight with them, because that's what they are seeking. That's how they are. That's the only way they're used to get the validation and the attention. So take yourself out, because then you're not feeding into the fight. And once you took yourself out, you can then start looking inside of you and do your work on the things that you still need to heal inside of yourself. So where is there an unmet need within you that hasn't been, that hasn't been fulfilled yet, and why is that? Or where was there maybe a story in your life that you started to suppress, right? So let me get into the comments again. It makes total sense. That's super valuable. Thank you, Andrew. Wie du gesagt hast, ist es einfach nur dankbar zu sein für die kleinen Dinge und die schlechten Sachen auszublenden. Es ist einfacher, die üblen Situationen komplett zu verdrängen, ist mir bei vielen Leuten und auch bei mir selber in letzter Zeit aufgefallen. Meiden statt reflektieren und versuchen zu verstehen und vor allem zu akzeptieren. Okay, that in English, exactly. It's much easier to be just grateful for the superficial, small little things in life, and to just avoid and ignore the bad things, than it is to really step back and reflect and look at the stuff that actually wants to be looked at. And yeah, like it's so hard for me to really stay on topic, because when I start talking about these things, like everything like really comes in, and there's so many links to that. And one really, really big key point that I've just learned last week, actually, and it was like it was really, really intense and mind opening. It was the fact, why some people are so angry and so hateful, maybe as well, and why they cannot express it in a healthy way. So I think it goes into, maybe I'll do a complete other life on that one. I'm just going to touch on it, but it really comes down to managing your emotions, and that the whole planet, the whole system has its balance, right? So you have the yin and the yang, the female and the feminine and the masculine energy, and obviously the masculine energy is more of the rough and the penetrating and the get it and the active energy, whereas the yin is more of the gentle receiving side. So active, giving, and gentle receiving kind of these energies. It has nothing to do with men or women. It's the energies. And that the whole planet has like this balance. So you have 50% of each. But the way that society educates us is that we're supposed to be loving and kind and gentle and helpful. And at a very young age, most of us learn that anger or hate or frustration or sadness, all these things are not supposed to be shown. You shouldn't ask for things as well. So that's also um, uh, a masculine energy. So we suppress these, and then you start having an imbalance in the whole system, right? So you have about 95% of the population in the feminine energy, and only 5% in the masculine, or only 5% that are allowing the masculine energy to move through them. And I don't know how to explain that now without a visual, but if you think that the 50% masculine energy now has to be expressed from these 5% of the people, which are mostly men, because men are just resonating more to this energy, they were not equipped on how to deal with that much pressure. So it's like a ventil. Does that make sense? And it's just like it's shooting out there, and they cannot control it. So that's why there is rape. That's why there is uh, killing and war and beating and all this stuff. So understanding this, I think, can really also help a lot to just know that if we would all just start learning to also express our frustration in a healthy way, our anger as well. So giving that energy also space, not just the loving and the light energy, but also the energy that really is like, just want to, you know, I'm not saying go and shoot somebody, no, but start allowing this emotion to be expressed as well. Start learning through nonviolent communication. If you want to, go and Google it. There's a lot on YouTube to learn about that for free. Through nonviolent communication, how to express your frustration, how to express your anger, your dissatisfaction, and eventually you can be angry from a place of love. I did not know that until 2 weeks ago. And now that I did this workshop last week with Tyrone Mowbray, I'm like, yeah, that's what just happened to me. So I was taking care of some kids, and usually I get like super quickly really, really frustrated with kids if they're not doing what I tell them to do. I have this tendency also with adults, but I'm working on it. But with children, obviously, because I'm the grown-up, I'm the adult, and they're supposed to do what I tell them, and if they don't, then I'm like getting like really, really angry and frustrated. And I often had like, I mean, if you see me speaking now, this is really like the energy that I had. Like, I just want to just do what I told you. And I felt bad about that. I really, really felt bad because that was not something I was able to control, or I thought that was not something I could control. It's just something that happens to me, and it was something that has been portrayed to me by my caregivers. So it was something that I unconsciously kind of like adopted. And so the other 2 weeks ago, I was with the kids, and I'm like just observing them and watching them do their thing and trying to communicating with them and telling them what to do, observing them when they rebel and when they don't do what I told them, reflecting on how I just said it, and like just trying to do this whole work. And at some point, the older one, she's 7, she really started pushing my buttons, and she really, really didn't do what I wanted her to do. And there was a moment where I was not getting angry or anything, but I took a decision because I saw that she needed a clear direction in that moment. She was testing my boundaries and I needed to give them to her. She was looking for those boundaries. And so I stayed in my center, I stayed in my power, I stayed in my love, but I started being loud, very clear, and very, very serious. I faced her straight. I was there, I was penetrating her with my gaze. I was fully there with her. I made my point clear. I gave her a choice. I walked away, did my things. I noticed that she was pushing again, trying to trigger me. I just kept doing my thing because she's also just being a child. I didn't pay attention to her in that moment, and then she went and did it. And she came back, and then everything was good again, and I could um, reinforce her for the good that she just did, and she really saw the benefit of what she just did as well. So that was really beautiful to experience that you can be angry, express anger with from a peaceful place actually, and I think it has a different energy if you do it from a place of love rather than emotional charge. If there is a big emotional charge, it's usually not gonna end up great. Nice, Chris. Wir setzen also mit guter Energie die Arschlöcher unter Druck und fördern damit ihr Verhalten. Nah, good one. No, no, no. You're not putting them under pressure. You're allowing, you're allowing them to express, their anger in the only way that they know in the moment. You give them space to vent out because you understand that it's not their fault that it's coming out that way. It's not their fault that they don't have the tools to express it in a better way, in a more healthier way for themselves and for you. Does that make sense? So you're not pressuring them. You're actually taking the pressure off. Because what we do when we try to go against, so let's say somebody comes at us with whatever they want to tell us, with their anger and their frustration, and we give in, we kind of like start blocking their energy and rejecting that energy and smacking it back to them. And so we're giving it back to them so that, and then they have to like constantly bring it out. So it's just like it's gonna collide. You can make up your own visuals, like don't take my word or my explanation as the ultimate, but this is just how I understand it, and it's really, really, really fresh for me too. So please forgive me if I'm not very clear in my words yet, because this is like, it's mind-blowing and amazing once you understand it, and I think it's going to be even more amazing when I understand it even more. So, but for now, this really makes so much sense, and I can see it playing out in life as well. Okay, so we're already past 45 minutes. I really want to talk about that topic too, but let's do that for another evening session or morning session for some here. Yeah, exactly. Andrew says I have to get ready for an appointment. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up here anyway. Thank you so much for being here with me, for bearing with me, and for also interacting a little bit. I will go and watch that replay myself and watch myself talk. And I think I will write an article about that, because I just find that such a good topic, and I don't think I brought it across very clearly the way I wanted it, but that's okay, as I told you at the beginning, I'm just putting myself out there and practice being uncomfortable, practice being put on the spot so that people like Chris can challenge me as well in the way that I explain things, which I'm super, super grateful for again. And there's just like, there is your power of choice, right? I can see comments that trigger me in a way that I feel like, this person is trying to put me down, this person is trying to make me look bad, this person is trying to make me stumble and fall over and regret that I even came online. Or I can choose to see that this person is just giving me the opportunity to step into my power again and check in with myself. It's like, oh, wait a minute, did I explain something wrong? Did I just make a complete mistake? That happens, it happens. We're all just humans, not all knowing. None of us is. And especially if we claim so, then we are definitely not, I would say. But that's my take on that for now. I was definitely one of those people that thought she knew exactly what's going on. And I will probably at some point also make a public sorry video. Not sorry, but sorry if I hurt you at some point or another. But again, you have the choice. Do you want to be hurt? Do you want to feel pain? It's your choice. I think there's a saying that what pain, like physical pain isn't a choice, but suffering is. And yeah, suffering definitely is a choice once you understand. No, I know, I know, Chris. I just needed to use you as an example here. And for one second, I did get a quick like, oh my God, did I say something wrong now? Did I not make sense with what I just said? How am I gonna save this? And I was like, no, actually, it was correct, and it was right the way I said it. And with the visual, I'm gonna get myself like a whiteboard or something so I can like draw and do cool stuff on it for next time. Maybe that's a Christmas gift, Chris. A whiteboard for Fabi. Anyway, okay. And one more time, maybe Andrew is still here. I highly, highly recommend this. It's, yeah, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Lots of small little stories, beautifully written, awesome wording, great thinking, great mind. I'm really grateful that I met Andrew, and I'm really grateful for this internet thing and social media so that it brings people like this into my world from far, far away. Okay, anyway, now we're like an hour in. I'm so sorry. I'm so grateful that you guys are still here, and I wish you a good evening. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful. Oh, what is that? I'm gonna have a little dance party. Okay. Ooh. And for those of you who just watched that in the replay, just put a comment in anyway. So stupid I can't really see who's here unless people are writing or giving a heads up. Okay, have a wonderful evening. I'm gonna have a dance party now because I'm sweating like crazy. Love you.